So how does one overcome that avoidance of taking action? And then they added the helpful thing here that even the strategy of knowing one's why, so knowing your goals, knowing what you're doing, is not helping. So that's a really good question. So I'm going to take this from kind of a practical perspective and offer just a few tips that I think like are things either you can try. If you have tried them, then, either think of different ways to implement these or perhaps, try one out of the many that I'm going to recommend. The first one that immediately comes to mind is make sure that you're putting the important things first. I am certainly guilty of not doing this all the time. I think we all do this from time to time where we productively procrastinate and we think, oh, like cleaning these Post-it notes off of my desk in front of me, that's what I need to be doing right now. It's like, no, it's not. Like I need to be working on my business, or I need to be writing an email. I need to be doing something else. So I think that then kind of sets up my next point that I thought about with this is try two different methods. Okay, and one of these is that first task done. So get that momentum going. Just assign yourself that small task and try that. And then, you get that rolling and kind of the snowball effect. You build the momentum. However, there's the opposite one that there's an entire book actually written with this title called Eat the Frog. And that's the idea of, just get your biggest, worst, however you want to think about it. Get that done first in your day or whenever your most productive moments are. And that once you have that done, everything else becomes easier. So I would say try one and then try the other and see what works best for you and then stick with that. So
I guess for me, I do 3 different things, and it kind of depends on what it is I'm procrastinating on and the importance of it. The first thing that I try to do is I try to give accountability. So I'll tell Adam, I'm going to do the dishes today. And then he knows. And so I'm giving somebody else kind of my motivation. And so maybe he'll check in or maybe not. But then I just know.
But he'll know.
I just know that, somebody else now knows. And sometimes that's enough to push me into doing things.
Cool.
The second thing that I do is I give myself a deadline. So I say I have to get something done by a specific time. And sometimes that'll help to push me into things and doing things. And then the third thing that I do is I give myself a reward. So I tell myself if I do something, then I can, so sometimes the reward is just leaving work. So I have to get this done before I leave work. And then the reward is both a deadline and it's, it's something that I get back. And sometimes it's chocolate.
Sometimes. That's a good one too. I think that, identifying yourself, which is good. I'll get to this in my last point. So I won't go too into depth on this, but if deadlines work for you, definitely use them. And different folks, this works differently for different people. So if you're one of those people where a little bit of pressure makes you do things better, then use that to your advantage. Set your own deadlines.
Yeah. But cool. I really like the just eat the frog. Sometimes you just have to tell yourself, just do it. Just do it.
Yeah, and I actually use both of those. But if you're at the point where you're just not getting things done, or you feel like you just can't ever take that first step, try both. Build the momentum, do the small tasks, and work your way up through the day. I use both. Like I said, sometimes I know, this has to get done. I know it's going to be either a pain in the butt or it's just a big time sink, but it has to get done. Then tackle that, and then the rest of your day is easier. So. Yeah. Let's see. The other things I want to touch base on with this is, again, some more practical stuff. Time your work around when you work best. Okay. For most people, I think they generally are better or more productive in the morning, but that's not everybody. If you're more productive in the afternoon, right after lunch, good for you. You're one of a very small group of people. But then time your most important work there. If you have 2 productive times, maybe you work in the morning and evening you're just really on it, then that's where you do it. So make sure you're utilizing that to the most. And then lastly, I want to talk about this because I'm giving a talk next week actually to a group. And one of the things I'm going to mention to them, it's about actually automation and processes. But to make that really effective and to make yourself more productive, you need to have time to think about what it is you've been doing. And, I call it reflecting or reviewing. And it's not just, how do I feel? And, there is definitely some of that, but what's working and being honest with yourself and what isn't working. And if you have planned, you've got an action list, you prioritize, but you're just not doing anything, then I think you really need to spend some time figuring out why are you procrastinating. And you know, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a psychologist. You know, there could be some very real reasons in that realm. You know, if so, get that dealt with. But you know, maybe it's something again as simple as, oh yeah, I'm trying to do this at the wrong time of day. But just take 30 minutes and list out some ideas, write them down, and be honest with yourself. And I think that, you know, doing this again is very helpful, but don't do it once. Do this once a week, once a month, whenever you can fit it in and make it regular, and you really start to see some benefits. So.